Alright, good day and welcome. I'm Mr. Simons. In this lesson, we'll just be summarizing all the key things you need to know about hyperbola, and we also will learn how to determine new equations that undergo translation and reflection. So, general equation, y equal to a, x minus p plus q, right? And my horizontal asymptote, all hyperbolas have two asymptotes. Horizontal asymptote will always be y equal to the q value there. My vertical asymptote will always be x equal to p, meaning p minus p gives me 0, therefore it becomes undefined. Number 3, we need to know q is responsible for vertical shift, meaning if I want to move the graph up or down. So we say translate the graph 2 units up, my equation there would become plus 2. Say translate the graph 5 units down, my equation down will become negative 5 by whatever my q value is. P there is responsible for horizontal shift. With horizontal shift, always remember, if I go to the right, I consider it as a negative, and if I go to the left, positive when I substitute in the equation. So there, translate 3 units right. To go 3 units right will always be minus 3. 4 units left will always be plus 4. If I set coordinates, that would have read straight 3 and that would have read minus 4. But in the equation, we have to change the sign, because if I solve x minus 3 equals 0, if I take minus 3 over, then it becomes positive 3. So be very careful. So x always changes sign, y stays as it appears. Right, if we look at the next. So general equation, let's say ax minus p plus q. If my a value given on the top there is positive, my graph will always be in the first and the third quadrants, right? There's just an example of where my axis of symmetry is. Axis of symmetry meaning a line that will cut the graph in such a way that either side of it looks identical to each other, meaning I can take that and flip and place it right over P, and there if I continue I can take this and flip it straight over. So it has two axes of symmetry. If a less than 0, my graph, as you can see there, will lie in the second quadrant and the fourth quadrant. Right, and there's my axis of symmetry. Now, reflection across y-axis, they give us f of x equal minus 6 over x plus 1. Determine a new equation, g of x, if f of x is reflected across the y-axis. So reflection across the y-axis means my x value must become negative. So the g of x equal f negative x. So in the place of x there I have a negative x, therefore that becomes negative x. Negative 6 divided by negative x would become positive 6 over x plus 1. So that's for reflection. Every exam would have one question testing reflection either across x or y-axis. We plot this function plus 1, you can see there's my asymptote. The other one, when x is 0, it would be undefined, so there's that asymptote, my vertical asymptote, x equal to 0, horizontal asymptote, y equal to 1. My graph there would be in the first and third quadrant because my e value there is positive. Right, for points, 6 divided by 1 gives me 6 plus 1. So here I can say 1 and 7. And if I put here 6, x equal to 6, 6 divided by 6 gives me 1, 1 plus 1 would give me 2. Right, but that's explained in the previous thing. So that's where my drawings would be. This is just a quick summary. Alright, reflection across the x-axis. F of x equal minus 6 over x plus 1. Determine a new equation, g of x. If f of x is reflected across the x-axis, so across the x-axis, my y value changes sign. So there it was positive, now it becomes negative f of x. Right, so therefore, negative y equal negative 6 over x plus 1. If I multiply the negative way, negative 6 times negative would give me positive 6 over x. Positive times negative would give me negative 1. So my new equation is g of x equals 6 over x minus 1. Right, let's plot, see the function. Alright, again 6 over x minus 1. Because a is positive, my drawing must be in the first quadrant and the third quadrant. Y equal negative 1, that is my horizontal asymptote. X equal to 0, there's my vertical asymptote. Graph will not make contact with those two lines. Right, and that's just a quick overview of what a hyperbola is. I hope you understand. Please like, share, and subscribe.